and see with your ears. Hello everyone, this is the Watchman, Greg Bryant, and we welcome you to the initial edition of JazzWatch, a brand new podcast dedicated to the premium sounds and explorations in improvisational music. If you're a listener, a player, a presenter, a patron, or a personality in this great music, the recurring truth is that each of these functions is about broadcasting or providing the proper access for the eager ears to receive the message. For me, as I grew up in the 80s and the early 90s, in a not so large town, the pre-internet era of course, the spread of music was arguably still an oral tradition. In that time and in that era, and the years before, it was word of mouth in homes, informal gatherings, at concerts, coffee houses, dorm rooms, what have you, and over-the-air broadcasts that we all kept trained in to what was happening and who was hip and what the latest as well as historical sounds were in the music. For me personally, it started with my mother and father's record collection and my very own Fisher-Price turntable. I grew tired of the traditional kiddie records, as it were, and ended up going for the truer wax, if you will, of musicians and icons such as B.B. King, Stevie Wonder, Herbie Hancock, Weather Report, Freddie Hubbard, Miles Davis, just to name a few, marking up the album jackets with crayons and making my additional illustrations while digging on the grooves. Sorry about that, Pop. But anyhow, as much joy as I got, I really wanted to give back. And as much information as I took in, I wanted to send right back out and go out and get new converts for this music and to exchange stories and exchange experiences with experienced patrons of the music as well. My first outlet was making mixtapes for people, just my favorite sounds and exchanging the music that way. But eventually, I winded up on the air at age 15 in high school on a college radio station with my own show. And it was, of course, highlighting improvisational music. It was a great experience, a growing experience, and I got to meet folks right here in my community, which is the Nashville, Tennessee area, who were interested in, believe it or not, this music that we've known and loved and we call jazz. After extended tenures at two more stations through my college years and on into early adulthood, I had amassed about 15 years tenure as a broadcaster, and that tenure recently ended in late 2011. Well, I've got the itch again, and I'm new to the podcast world, but I'm ready to spread this great music to you, and you. And once again, the multi-faceted services that we all provide as members of this community, a forum to discuss those and enlighten one another, would be, a thrill for me to be a part of, and I want you to be a part of it as well. I welcome your help and your reflections if there are any topics that you'd like to discuss. Anybody that's a newsmaker in your area that you feel deserves wider attention, feel free to give me a shout. Leave me a comment here on the blog, on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. We're pretty well connected, that is, socially. And we want to reach out with you and become partners and exchange certain information as we continue to enjoy and celebrate this wonderful improvisational music tradition. The past is just as important as the present, and I feel that we can definitely have a good time and we can get into the grooves together. We'll have different segments here on JazzWatch, and one of them will highlight current sounds and contributors to modern improvisational music. And as we examine the historical, it's very important that we celebrate the present. And on the show today, we want to highlight some notable recordings that were released last year in 2012. It was a great year for improvisational music, and these are no means any best of lists in anybody else's mind but me. But I think you'll agree, if you've not heard these releases, or if you're familiar, they rose to the top of the pile in 2012. Two drummers stepped to the forefront. The first one being in the person of drummer Jonathan Blake, a brilliant drummer and a brilliant composer. Of course, you've heard him with the likes of the veteran pianist Kenny Barron, organist Dr. Lonnie Smith, and in several other notable contexts. But he stepped out as a band leader on the Sunnyside label with a project titled The 11th Hour, a star-studded cast of who's who on the modern jazz horizon. Harmonicist Gregoire Murray is on this one, of course, tenor saxophonist Mark Turner, and Grammy-nominated pianist Robert Glasper, just a few of the names that you'll hear on this brilliant project. Let's take the title track, which is the first tune, and give you a snippet of it. Drummer and composer Jonathan Blake with The 11th Hour. Brilliant usage of composition there, and really it's a great study, I feel, in how to make all-star players congeal and gel as a band. It really sounds like a unified effort, and I'm hoping that Jonathan gets more opportunities out there to demo his work and to display his band under his leadership. And while we're on the subject of drummers, another brilliant young master of rhythm and compositions is drummer Jemiah Williams. And those of you familiar with Earmage know you're in for a treat. You can go all over YouTube, but definitely check out, if you haven't, Conflict of a Man, a brilliant project by drummer Jemiah Williams and a cast including trombonist and arranger Corey King. Pianist and composer Jason Moran is on this one. Saxophonist John Ellis. This one is also wide and diverse with talent, and quite frankly, I've never heard any music like this before. Genreless is the best way to really explain it. But here's a snippet of Earmage. Conflict of a Man is the title of this recent CD, one of the best of 2012. And here's a piece. It's called Plants. tune Plants, found on Conflict of a Man, Iramage, the band, led by drummer Jamar Williams. Speaking of Mr. Williams' drums, he's also on another of the best of 2012, organist Dr. Lonnie Smith. Dr. Lonnie getting in the groove on a brand new live CD last year called The Healer. And this one is a phenomenal representation of the doc live in concert. Jamar Williams at the drums, Jonathan Kreisberg here on guitar, and these three gentlemen stretch the bounds of the traditional so-called Hammond organ trio. There's lots of groove here, some swing as well, but there's the third element, if you will, that you hear. Doc and his bandmates are able to go from the soil to the stratosphere, often within the confines of one tune, and you're in for quite a ride when you check out The Healer. Let's listen to a snippet of a tune. This one originally done on 2009's Rise Up, a Dr. Lonnie Smith original. It's called Dapper Dan, a live version on 2012's The Healer. Dr. Lonnie Smith, Jamar Williams on drums, Jonathan Kreisberg on guitar. Dapper Dan, organist Lonnie Smith, Dr. Lonnie Smith from The Healer, one of the best of 2012. And as we continue the virtuosic feats of bass and lead playing, as many of the Hammond organists are able to facilitate, 7-string guitarist Charlie Hunter was back and in full effect, if you will, on a new project, a duo with drummer Scott Amendola. The CD's called Not Getting Behind is the New Getting Ahead. This one is the best I can describe it, the Right Now Blues. It's all based on themes that we're facing today. As Mr. Hunter and Amendola travel throughout the country, they noted a lot of things that they've been seeing, the changes in the economy and the effect that that has on small communities, and how the countenance of a lot of people is changing. Folks, as you know, are enduring, but using music to celebrate sometimes the more challenging aspects of our lives. But this is feel-good music, and it gets into the groove all the way around. Brilliant sound quality. This one was recorded in mono and recorded in one day. It's pretty amazing that both of these gentlemen were able to find that comfort and get down to business, and it's reflected in this brilliant project. Not Getting Behind is the new Getting Ahead. Let's check out a tune called The Wizard Pounds the Pavement. Charlie Hunter, and Scott Amendola. Speaking of Mr. Hunter, one of his former sidemen released a brilliant project in 2012. Saxophonist and composer John Ellis. John Ellis and his crisscross jazz debut, It's You I Like. Several of the tunes, arrangements on the late great public television star Fred Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, his tunes, and also singer-songwriter the late Elliott Smith. So a dark as well as a bright side represented on this very complex, beautiful project, It's You I Like. John Ellis joining him, a five-star cast. Mike Moreno on guitar, Aaron Goldberg on piano, Matt Penman with bass, and drummer Rodney Green rounds out the cast. John Ellis's quintet. John, of course, playing mostly tenor saxophone and a bit of bass clarinet as well. But let's hear the title track to It's You I Like. John Ellis on JazzWatch. John Ellis with It's You I Like. Tenor saxophonist John Ellis. He also plays some bass clarinet on that recording from 2012. His bass clarinet has also been featured in the Gilfelma ensemble of guitarist Lionel Luike, and Lionel released his third project for the Blue Note label in 2012, a brilliant project in collaboration with producer and pianist Robert Glasper. Lionel Luike's heritage represented by the tune Ouida. Mark Giuliano at the drums, Derek Hodge on the bass. Lionel Luike on vocals and guitar. Check this one out. Certainly one of the best of 2012. My personal favorite of all of Lionel's discs, this new one on Blue Note, it's called Heritage, and that tune was Ouida, the second track from Heritage guitarist and vocalist Lionel Luike. Another vocalist rose to the forefront, also nominated for a Grammy. We'll see how it comes out in a couple of weeks here. Gregory Porter, Be Good, the title of his latest project. It's on the Motema Music label. Gregory Porter, very nice composer. Really enjoying hearing his lyrics and new tunes. This is his second recording, as we just mentioned, and I want to play a bit of the lead-off tune, Painted on Canvas. Another track on this one is nominated for Best R&B Male Vocal, Real Good Hands, but we're going to take the first track from this one, Painted on Canvas. Enjoy, vocalist Gregory Porter.
We are like children, we're painted on canvases, picking up shades as we go. We start off with gesso, brushed on by people we know. Watch your technique as you go. Step back and admire my view. Can I use the colors I choose? Do I have some say what you use? Can I get some greens and some blues? We're made by the pigment of paint that is put upon. Our stories are told by our hues. Like Motley and Bearden, these masters of peace and light, layers.
And best of luck to vocalist Gregory Porter as he's up again for a Grammy this year. The latest one, Be Good, on Motema, came out last year, 2012. One of the best of the year, we feel, here at JazzWatch. And Painted on Canvas was the name of the tune that we just heard. Also, it's no surprise, but this young lady is taking the world by storm. Bassist vocalist Esperanza Spalding, also nominated this year, but this project was a bit of a departure from her previous two releases. It's called Radio Music Society. If you haven't heard about it, chances are you have. This one was in collaboration with hip-hop pioneer Q-Tip, formerly of A Tribe Called Quest. And this one featured a few special guests, among them Esperanza's former employer, saxophonist Joe Lovano. This is a tune called Let Her from Radio Music Society, bassist, composer, and vocalist Esperanza Spalding. Enjoying JazzWatch. This is our inaugural podcast. Hello to you, and you. If you dig what you're hearing, make sure to drop us a line here on the blog or on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. We're trying to stay connected. And in a few weeks, we'll be available on iTunes as well. So tell your friends any suggestions that you have, critiques that you have. We'd love to hear from you. We're trying to grow this thing. And we know it takes a team to do that. So thank you very, very much. As we move into our next segment, we're going to do a little something called Have You Heard? Have You Heard? And it's going to be sort of an opportunity to examine a rare piece, an out-of-print piece from the classic stacks of wax. I love vinyl, and I know you do too. This week we're going to examine a classic from the Pacific Jazz label, and pianist and composer Les McCann's trio, known then as Les McCann's Limited. This LP, Les McCann Limited in San Francisco, a December 1960 session at the Jazz Workshop, one of the storied jazz clubs of that era in the Bay Area. Les McCann actually returning to that area. He was stationed there in the Navy, and coming back as a civilian, he had had some serious success in California, leading his trio that consisted at the time of the late great bassist Herbie Lewis and the late great drummer Ron Jefferson. Both of those gentlemen passed away, interestingly enough, in May of 2007. But at the time of this recording, they were young, full of vigor and fire, and contributing to the jazz canon. This one is actually a live date, and you really get into the feeling of what it was like to be on the scene in the Bay Area with Les McCann and company. Here's a tune that Les did on this one. It's called Big Jim. Dig the way this one swings. It's got all of that and then some. Les McCann Trio on JazzWatch. Find that one, good luck. It's out of print as far as we can tell, but you may do some searching around at your favorite record stores and on eBay. Les McCann Limited in San Francisco, a 1960 session on the Pacific Jazz label. The name of the tune that we were checking out, Big Jim, a nice blues number. Les McCann at the piano doing his thing very early in his career. Liner notes on this one say he was very excited to return to San Francisco in particular as a civilian after being stationed there in the Navy several years before. But Les basically broke box offices with his trio, not always embraced by critics at the time, but he made the people feel good, as you heard on that cut. The great drummer Ron Jefferson doing his thing, originally born in New York, moving out to the West Coast in the late 50s and making a name for himself doing his thing. He actually recorded for the Pacific Jazz label under his own name not too long after this. The late great bassist Herbie Lewis, of course you know his work with Bobby Hutcherson, his cousin, and also the Jazz Crusaders around this time as well. Bassist Herbie Lewis there as a member of the Les McCann Limited Trio. Welcome again to JazzWatch. Yours truly, Greg Bryant, The Watchman, a brand new podcast. This is our inaugural edition, and we're having a ball. Again, reach out to us, leave a comment, let us know what you think, let us know any suggestions that you may have. We're really looking forward to doing this twice a month, and let us know what you like and what you're digging on. Our final segment of the show is going to be dedicated to commentaries or interviews, and I think it's very important that we listen to a wide variety of perspectives from the perspective of musicians, presenters, patrons as well, because As we all have vigor for this music, we all share the commonality of wanting to broadcast it and make sure that the music reaches wider ears and the proper audience, and that conditions improve so that the music can keep functioning at the highest level possible. This week, a bit of archival footage. I had the pleasure of speaking with the legendary drummer Louis Hayes in 2007, and here's a bit of a clip from an interview with the great master Louis Hayes. Of course, you know him these days from leading his own highly acclaimed ensembles, one of them being the Cannonball Adderley Legacy Band, such names as Vincent Herring, Jeremy Pelt, Richie Goods, Rick Germanson, many others coming through that band off and on these days. But Louis Hayes moved to New York when he was 18 years old from Detroit, Michigan, and after getting immersed in the Detroit scene, he found himself in high demand in New York, moving there to work with the likes of the great Horace Silver. And you know, over those brilliant 5 Blue Note recordings with Horace, Louis's name was forever planted in the canon. He worked with several jazz giants, you know the list: Sonny Clark, Hank Mobley, Art Farmer, many others. He also moved on to work with the first super popular permanent edition of the Cannonball Adderley Quintet, Nat Adderley and Sam Jones among the players. The piano chair rotated. And Mr. Louis Hayes speaks a little bit about that piano chair and how he and Sam Jones were able to lock that groove in to propel the band to higher and higher heights. Here now a portion of my interview with the great Louis Hayes. One thing is for certain, and it's amazing, Cannonball's rhythm team, yourself and Sam Jones, you guys stayed with him for over 5 years. It was a consistent unit, a highly swinging unit. The piano chair changed, and I really admire Cannon, as well as you and Sam and Nat too, for making the pianists comfortable, because even though they're new personalities that evolve through the band, it still sounded like the Cannonball group. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And I think it's due to having such a steady, swinging, and exploratory rhythm team as yourself and Sam hooking up with the pianist. And of course, first it was Mr. Bobby Timmons, and he actually penned you all's hit, this here. What was it like playing with Mr. BT, if you will?
Well, he was he was just his music, the way he, like you said, penned his music. That was the kind of person he was.
Wow.
He was the kind of person that was soulful, big fun. Like to have a person like that, not complicated. Bobby was, I think maybe he came from a background like we all did, but I think him more so of the church.
Okay.
His father might have been a minister or something. I can't remember, but he doesn't sound like it to me.
Yeah.
But Bobby was a wonderful person to be around, and then that was one concept. But like you said, Sam and myself, we had such a strong connection until we could just lay the red carpet out for people to ride on.
Yeah, most definite.
And then Barry Harris, he was there, and that was my hometown person. and Victor Feldman was marvelous too.
Yes, he was.
And then they are, like you said, the piano chair kept changing. But when Joe Zawinul, when he joined the group,
oh man,
then that was stability. He was there, and it never changed after when he joined the group.
Exactly. That's going to do it for this edition of JazzWatch, but we'll be back real soon, back towards the end of this month, to give you another edition of the show. If you're heading up to New York, we'll see you there. The Jazz Connect and APAP conferences going on. lots of very interesting seminars, and we'll do a recap and wrap up of that in a broadcast to come. But remember to follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. That address is twitter.com/gbjazzwatch, facebook.com/jazzwatch, and at youtube.com/gbjazzwatch. Yours truly, Greg Bryant, the Watchman, saying, hear with your eyes, see with your ears, and watch what happens.